Have you ever wondered how China, once a sleeping giant, has emerged as a global economic powerhouse? To understand the story of China's economic ascent, we need to travel back in time to a period when China was far from the economic titan it is today. Picture the China of the mid-20th century, a country deeply entrenched in a state-controlled, centrally planned economy. This was an era dominated by public ownership, where private enterprise was a distant dream, and the market forces we're so familiar with today were kept firmly on the sidelines. In those days, China's economy was a world away from the dynamic and diverse powerhouse we see now. The focus was primarily on heavy industry, with agriculture and light industry often overlooked. This economic structure was largely inefficient, stifled innovation, and led to widespread poverty. The country was a sleeping dragon, waiting for the right moment to stretch its wings and take flight. The turning point came in the late 70s, when China embarked on a journey of economic reforms. This marked the beginning of a shift from a centrally planned economy to one characterized by a mix of socialist and market economy principles. The state began to loosen its grip on economic activities, allowing market forces to play a larger role in shaping the economy. This was a time of great change, as the country began to open its doors to the world. Foreign trade was encouraged, private ownership was allowed to flourish, and emphasis was placed on increasing productivity and improving living standards. The dragon was beginning to stir, its eyes opening to the opportunities that lay ahead. The impact of these changes was nothing short of transformative. Within a few decades, China had evolved from an inward-looking agrarian society to a global economic powerhouse, boasting the second-largest economy in the world. The dragon had finally awoken, its roar reverberating across the global economic landscape. The transformation of China's economy is a tale of unprecedented growth and massive economic restructuring. But how did it all start? To understand China's economic ascent, we must dive into the 1978 economic reform. This was a time of profound change for China, a time when it began to break away from the constraints of a centrally planned economy to embrace the dynamism of a market-based one. Now, imagine an economy where the government dictates what, when, and how much of a product should be produced. That was China before 1978, a rigid, centrally planned economy. But as we know, no matter how meticulous the plan, it cannot account for the unpredictable fluctuations of the market. In 1978, under the leadership of Deng Xiaoping, China initiated a series of economic reforms. The government loosened its grip on the economy and allowed elements of capitalism to creep in. For the first time, private businesses were allowed. Farmers were given the right to sell their produce in the market. These may seem like small steps, but they were revolutionary for a country that had been under strict governmental control. The reforms didn't stop there. China began to open its doors to international trade and investment. For decades, the country had been largely isolated from the global economy. Now, it was inviting the world in. It began exporting goods, attracting foreign investments, and slowly integrating itself into the global economy. The shift from a centrally planned to a market-based economy wasn't smooth. It was a process fraught with challenges, uncertainties, and setbacks, but China persevered. And the result? An economic transformation like no other. China's GDP began to grow at an unprecedented rate, lifting millions out of poverty and turning the country into an economic powerhouse. The 1978 economic reform was a turning point in China's history, paving the way for exponential growth. It was the start of China's great leap forward, a leap that has catapulted it to the forefront of the global economy. With the foundation laid in 1978, China embarked on a journey of rapid economic growth. A journey that would catapult it from a largely agrarian society to a global economic powerhouse within a few short decades. The 1980s marked the beginning of China's spectacular ascent. With its economy slowly opening to the world, China began to experience unprecedented growth rates. This period, often referred to as the reform and opening up, saw China embracing a unique blend of socialism and market-oriented reforms. These changes, coupled with a massive and increasingly skilled workforce, fueled a boom in manufacturing and exports. Fast forward to 2009, and China had achieved a significant milestone. it had become the world's largest exporter, a title previously held by Germany. This was a testament to China's manufacturing might and its ability to produce goods at a scale and cost unmatched by any other country. But China didn't stop there. In 2010, it surpassed Japan to become the world's second-largest economy. This was a landmark moment, signifying China's successful transition from a low-income country to an upper-middle-income one. It also marked the country's emergence as a major player on the global economic stage. Yet, it's important to remember that these milestones weren't achieved overnight. They were the result of strategic planning, significant investments in infrastructure and education, and a relentless focus on economic development. China's growth story is also a tale of resilience. The country has weathered numerous challenges along the way, including economic slowdowns, demographic shifts, and environmental concerns. Yet, through it all, it has managed to maintain a steady course of growth and development. China's rapid rise has been nothing short of remarkable, but what does the future hold? As we delve deeper into this question, we'll explore the opportunities and challenges that lie ahead for this economic juggernaut. Stay tuned as we continue to unravel the story of the dragon's rise. If you're wondering what the future holds for China's economy, you're not alone. This is a question on the minds of economists, policymakers, and business leaders across the globe. And the answer, while not crystal clear, certainly suggests a trajectory of continued growth and influence. The world has watched as China has transformed from a largely agricultural society to a global powerhouse in just a few decades. Its manufacturing sector, once seen as a source of cheap labor, is now a leader in advanced technologies. And its middle class, once relatively small, is now larger than the entire population of the United States. This rapid expansion has been fueled by a combination of factors: massive infrastructure investments, a disciplined and educated workforce, and the strategic use of state-owned enterprises to drive growth in key sectors. And while China's growth rate has slowed in recent years, it is still projected to outpace that of most developed economies. So what might this mean for the future? Many economists predict that, within the next decade, China could overtake the United States as the world's largest economy. This would represent a seismic shift in the global economic order, with implications that are hard to fully grasp. While this prospect is exciting for some, it also raises concerns. How would such a shift affect global trade, investment, and geopolitics? Could it lead to a new economic Cold War, or might it foster greater cooperation and interdependence? These are questions that will shape the global conversation in the years to come. But as we consider these potential scenarios, it's important to remember that China's path to economic dominance is not guaranteed. The country faces significant challenges, including an aging population, environmental issues, and the need to continue transitioning from a manufacturing-based economy to one driven by services and consumption. While there are challenges ahead, China's economic ascendancy seems poised to continue. And as it does, the world will be watching, waiting to see how this dragon's tail unfolds. China's economic growth has not just transformed the country, but also the world. Let's take a moment to rewind and ponder over the key points we've discussed. China, the economic dragon, has awoken from its slumber and is now stretching its wings, ready for flight. Its ascension has been nothing short of extraordinary, from the Great Leap Forward to its current status as a global powerhouse. But what does this mean for the rest of the world? Firstly, China's rise has significantly impacted global trade. As the world's largest exporter and second largest importer, the dragon's hunger for goods and resources has reshaped trade routes and patterns. Countries around the globe have been drawn into its orbit, their economies intertwined with China's fortunes. Secondly, China's burgeoning wealth has led to an explosion in outbound investments. From infrastructure projects in Africa to technology companies in Silicon Valley, the dragon's reach is truly global. This surge in investment has sparked debates about economic dependence and sovereignty, but it also provides opportunities for growth and development. Thirdly, China's economic prowess has altered the geopolitical landscape. As the dragon spreads its wings, it commands an increasing share of global influence. This has resulted in a shift in power dynamics, with China challenging the traditional dominance of Western nations. However, it's important to note that China's rise is not without challenges. Issues such as environmental sustainability, income inequality, and an aging population pose significant hurdles. How the dragon navigates these obstacles will shape not only its future, but also the world's. So as we reflect on China's meteoric rise, we must also ponder the implications. The world is now more interconnected than ever, and the ripples of China's actions are felt far beyond its borders. And so, as we stand at the dawn of a new era, one thing is clear: the dragon is not just awake, it's ready to soar. The world watches with anticipation and perhaps a touch of apprehension as the dragon prepares for flight.